Good evening. Welcome back to Combe TV. Feels a while now, doesn't it? We had a bit of a break in December after an incredible 2025. And I cannot believe that we're here at episode 100. I feel that in reality we should be doing something like that, eh? Come on, bit of applause. But thank you to Sam Preston, who was the original idea of it, and Tom Davis. When he was with the company, it was him that embraced it, and they both approached me and said, can you do something about this? And I found a way, and we created it during that horrible pandemic back in 2020. And we've had some amazing guests on, we've had some amazing banter, and my penchant for gin is no longer a hidden secret. It is very, very well known now that we do these shows, and it hasn't waned a bit. In fact, I'm still drinking from my Castle Combe glass that was beautifully awarded to me as well. I love doing these shows. I love being with everyone. If you hear me in the commentary at the circuit, you know my passion for racing and my passion in particular for everything Castle Combe. I get in trouble because I even talk about Castle Combe when I'm commentating elsewhere, because it's where the 5-year-old me fell in love with racing with my dad. So it's just my number one place to be. So it is so good to be here. It is that 100th episode. Thanks to those guys for coming up with the idea. Thanks for sticking with us. It's a lovely interactive show. And I felt that there was no better way to celebrate this and to get back together ahead of the 2026 season than getting the champions out from last season. I got a little bit of telling off because I forgot to actually interview the champions at the awards night, because most people don't want to, because they're aware that the room's half cut at the very least. But I should have given people an option, so apologies for that one. But we now get to chat to our champions over this evening. So thankfully they're here. We have lost one. Mike Good is caught at work, so sadly the Saloon Car Champion won't be here. There's discussion that as he wasn't at the awards do either, he's not champ anymore. He's not champ. But we've got someone else from that championship here who won a very important award at our awards night itself as well. And I know that it really meant a lot to him. So we're going to grab a word with him as well. Quickly catch up on a couple of the comments. Mike Cotton, I've had a flaky year. Sorry to hear that, mate. But he says, I have to be here for the 100th show. Congratulations. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it, Mike. And I hope that you're a lot better now, mate. And we'll see you plenty of times at the circuit, I hope. Ben Hindle. Hi, everyone. Greetings, Ben. Good to hear from you, mate. Hopefully we'll see you back at the circuit this year. Lewis Bird Motorsport. Good evening, everybody. Here's to a great 2026 season. Still a few bits to do to get ready for racing. Didn't you say that all last year as well, mate? Just, I'm not one to stir or out, but, hopefully we will see you back out, mate. Always see your dad still at the circuit as well, which is lovely to see, wandering around and the family staying together in effect. Tim Perry, wrong one. Tim Perry, one of our Orange Army. Evening, mate. Good to hear from you. Hello, everyone. Dilly. On that note, actually, a quick comment is that Helen McGee, the head of the mighty Orange Army, she keeps everyone under control. Or do they keep her under control? I don't know, Helen. Which way round is that one? But she asked me to put a shout out. Her comment was, can you ask for drivers to come forward? So this is the drivers. Can you come forward with any race-prepared cars that they could bring to Castle Combe on March 14th and or 15th, which is the Marshall training days, and the car could be used as part of that. Don't worry, they don't flip it upside down. They've got cars that they use for that. They won't be driving around the circuit, but they just need to set up some static scenarios so that the marshals can, reenact them and all of that sort of stuff. So it's really important that we have those. So if there are any racing cars that can be up there for the 14th or 15th, contact Helen M for McGee, at ccracingclub.co.uk. Helen M at ccracingclub.co.uk. 14th and or the 15th of March, just for static displays. At the moment, they've only had 2 people come forward following, I think Kat sent some emails out. So if we can get some more, please, so that we can get the marshals all trained up, ready for the 2026 season, that would be very much appreciated. Melvin Hook, hello, mate. Hi, Chris Dawes from Melvin. The XJS in Thunder and Mod Sport or Special Saloons. I should have been doing your show on Wednesday, but the big dog was caught up in work, so we will get that one going, Melvin. You at the awards deal for the classic touring cars? I can't remember, mate, but look forward to seeing you this year. Alicia, hello Alicia. Evening all. Looking forward to a great 2026 season, says Alicia Hamlin. Looking forward to you being back, Alicia. Glad to hear it. Is that back out in the Class A car again this year? Ben Hindle says he will be back out later part of the season. To be honest, I've even got champs below me, and they won't touch their cars until about 2 days before the first race meeting, so don't panic about that. I'm watching which of them chuckle at that one, because they know that's what they do. Caroline Sutton, evening all, says Caroline. Of course, she is a legend with the Sutton name, and she is involved in looking after the one of the championships as well. Lewis Bird says, I did say that, yes. I'm looking at doing Media Day and a select few rounds this season. Great prompt. Media Day, March 21st is the Castle-Combe Racing Club Media Track Day. A chance to shake the cars down, and we'll have media there. It's free to spectators as well, so you can go along and see the cars going round. I find that it's almost this feeling goes, thank goodness for that, we're getting there. You can speak to the drivers. They don't bite much. You can speak to their support teams, whatever else is necessary. And you can find out what Castle-Combe Racing Club have got planned for 2026. 20th year of the Castle-Combe Racing Club. A really wicked anniversary to celebrate with the Castle-Combe Racing Club. For those of you who don't understand, you've kind of got two entities. You've got the circuit, which celebrated, 75 years last year. Castle-Combe Racing Club is a separate company that looks after everything to do with the racing calendars, the racing entries, and that's what they focus on, while of course the circuit has got 1,000,001 things they've got to do. The racing club rent the circuit from the circuit, and then they look after everything here. Hopefully that makes sense, because I know that occasionally some people go, oh, I didn't realise that. I thought they were the same. So Castle-Combe Racing Club turns 20 this year, so absolutely wicked that we get all of that. Presumably Chris Mason, because it's the medical centre. Evening Dawsey, rescue crew on tour at the moment, currently in Tewkesbury, off to Prescott for training in the morning. Nice one. Presumably the hill climb venue. We'll have a good time with that one, guys, and thank you in advance for everything that you have to do this year and looking after everybody. Melvin Hooker, looking forward to the Autumn Classic again. So Melvin will be down in his XJS for the Autumn Classic, and I did have those dates up. When is the Autumn Classic? That is 12th and 13th of September. So 12th and 13th of September. Look forward to it, mate. We've actually got another one, the HSCC Summer Historic, 8th and 9th of August as well. So that's pretty cool. Caroline Sutton confirms it's the saloons. Do you know what? You caught me out there, Caroline, because I was going to say saloons, and then I went, or is it Hot Hatch? And I had a mental block, and so I chose to say nothing. You got me there. Kat Dalocco, our very own Kat. Hi all, Kat here. Sorry not home in time to come on, but watching in mid-journey home. Yes, I was hoping Kat might have, if there was anything that anybody needed to know, but keep an eye on your emails and the socials, and you'll be updated on it all. Medical centre, we did realise the rescue, presumably that means didn't realise the rescue unit could drive this far. Us neither, mate. Tom Davis, and I think that's actually it is you, mate. Episode 100, that's insane. All started over a virtual gin or two in lockdown. Well done for keeping it going, and big love to you all. Thank you, mate. If you missed the start, I did name check you and Sam straight away, and it would have been nice to have maybe got you on and had a few words. I tried to find the first episode, but Facebook got rid of the lives of pages, so it's gone forever, sadly, which is a huge shame. Right, thank you for the comments, guys. I think it's time to bring out our first champion of 2025, and I've got to go with this guy first, not just because he's the most lovable driver in the world anyway, but he's actually joined us whilst on holiday. we're not going to feel sorry for him. I warn you now. However, I will applaud him that he's given us this time, because he's over in the Dominican Republic. I'm stopping him from kite surfing at the moment. But let's give a huge cheer to our 2025 Castle Combe Racing Club GT Champion, Dylan Popovic. Mr. P. Mr. P. How are you, sir? You well? Oh, can you?
Honestly, I'm exhausted. All this winter prep is really taking it out of me. You know, this fitness regime and, you know, working on the car and all that stuff. Honestly, I cannot cope anymore. Thanks for the distraction, though.
You know, I felt we owed you that, mate. I felt we owed you it.
Nice one.
We've got, obviously, unsurprisingly, we have a very slight lag because he is over there in the Dominican Republic on the Wi-Fi in the resort, whatever, that kind of stuff. So bear with us, everybody watching, and thank you, Dylan, for bearing with us. And people are already saying, wow, thank you, Mr. Popovic, and well done for coming on. First things first, Dylan, let's jump straight to it. Go back a year. You missed out on the championship on the last round by 1 point and 1 corner. You weren't going to let that happen again, were you?
Listen, you can never plan this. But yeah, the season kicked off well. There was a little glimmer of hope that, you know, the car was competitive. It was reliable. I wasn't driving it too badly. Yeah, bit by bit, you know, I started to maybe believe this could be the year, and it was. So yeah, could not be happier.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking. What did we have? It started off strong, but we had a blooming Craig Dolby on the grid for the first couple of rounds there, didn't we?
I don't know. Who invited him anyway, right?
I know.
Sure, he's got movies to make or something, right?
Exactly. Then you got the victory. Dave Scaramanga actually sort of got one over you in race 4, and you then had a DNF in race 5. Can you remember what that DNF was for?
Oh yeah. That was immaculate planning, and you know, all the preparation goes into a race weekend whereby we forgot to fuel the car. So yeah, we ran out of fuel on the last lap. So that was good.
I do remember that now. I'd forgotten that. You know, I was trying to not hold that against you.
Well, you know, we wanted to make it a little bit more interesting for the season, so that was all part of the plan. Steve says.
How did that happen then? Did you just do the equations wrong, or did you not fill up and you only had what was in there from the first race?
No, it was one of those. Oh, there's plenty of fuel in the car. Let's not even bother checking it. And turns out it wasn't quite enough. So,
ouch.
No science, no calculations. Just didn't take it as seriously as we could have that particular weekend. Lesson learned.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't see any others where that happened for the rest of the year. Definitely not done again. In reality, Dylan, what I'm looking at of your season is that it was about consistency.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. Almost a deja vu of the previous season, with obviously Dave swapping his Audi for a Ferrari, and
obviously,
you know, it's as you do, yeah. And it was kind of that same problem that, you know, that particular car and that engine is just a little bit stronger down the straight, you know. So if he sort of edges out, you know, even off the start line, even if I was on pole, it would still be a chase to the end of the race. And, you know, that doesn't matter if I had a faster lap, if I, you know, sort of tried whatever I tried, you know, it was just basically very difficult to pass him. And, you know, he's a great driver, didn't make a single mistake that I can think of all season. So yeah, it was, you know, okay, well, maybe I can't win outright every race, but, you know, can we do some consistency? You know, can we finish second every race? And, you know, see if the points add up. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there was some absolute belter races that I remember you really chasing, and had that sort of strengths and weaknesses at different parts, and you were trying everything. And I was almost envisaging you from the commentary box in there, not getting agitated, but almost laughing while you were in the car.
It's exactly that. It's like, the car is pretty nice to drive. It's not a sort of on the limit type of machine, or, at least maybe that's how I developed it. And, it's actually a fairly well behaved sort of a toy to have. So yeah, it is basically just, sort of stay behind and try a bit of this and try a bit of that, and, see if maybe I go wide, it might confuse him and he might do something different, or, maybe I can, go slower in, fast out, all that good stuff. But, ultimately the differences are 0.1, 0.2 of a second per lap. And you kind of need sort of like a second to overtake. So, either a mistake or some sort of, forced mistake needs to happen. When the cars are so evenly matched, then, I dare say the drivers are evenly matched. And, it just makes it for, sort of a 15-lap chase of, 0.3 of a second behind the entire 15 laps, which is great fun. But, sometimes I just wished I was the one, in the lead, not the chaser.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. The noise, your car, I mean, even when I'm right back up in the commentary box, the rumble as that thing goes past. What is it again? Is it a 5
It's a small Chevy V8, 7 litre.
7 litre, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it as loud and as rumbly when you've got helmet and everything on?
It's actually very different inside. So inside, it's more about the kind of the noise that the sequential gearbox makes. So it's a lot more sort of high pitched and fairly irritating, if I'm honest. So yeah, you guys get the good noise that comes from the exhaust, and I get all the rattles and squeaks and the sort of high pitched sort of straight cut gears. So yeah, it's not as enjoyable. Good set of earphones and all that kind of go in just to sort of lessen the sort of deafening pain.
Yeah. Well, I know Joseph Bassett, us talking about that noise, is he straight away put, get me back on post now. He wants to be there to hear that noise. Incidentally, whilst I remember to do this, my dad's watching, evening Dad. And if you may or may not remember, I introduced you to him when we did a wander around the paddock before I went up to the commentary box. And he says, what a lovely guy. I so enjoyed it when you introduced me to him, Chris. Say hi from me. So there you go.
Hey, David.
The old man says hi. Mike Cotton says a bit different from the aerial atom.
Was that in the context that I had one, or is that in the context of racing one? Because I've never raced one.
No, and I think I'm trying. What was it you had? So it wasn't the aerial atom. You had something different, didn't you?
So we initially, years and years ago, I raced a little kit car called Marlin EXI.
That's it.
And then, if you remember, we had this brilliant idea that we would build our own car from scratch and try and race it, market it, sell it, that sort of thing. So yeah, that was basically a few years of development of the Avatar 1, it was called at the time.
Yes.
So yeah, that was that was interesting little journey.
It's the experience. But I mean, I'm sure what I've had conversations with you is that although that Ginetta is amazing and you race it various other places as well with good success and understandably, but you keep fettling it, don't you, and trying to get more out of it.
Yeah, to be fair, where that car is today, it's a different thing. Whether we're talking engine, gearbox, electronics, ECU, power supply and wiring looms, all of that good stuff. Whether we're talking bits of aero that I have kind of developed on a bit of a, let's put that on and see what happens kind of basis. So yeah, there's been a lot of, 3D printer, 3D design turning into 3D prints, turning into, sort of bits of carbon being created in, in the garden or the living room or the kitchen or wherever I'm not being, sort of threatened and kicked out of. So that's for me, that's the fun bit, to sort of take a car that is, let's face it, not a Ferrari GT3 type of level of equipment and, get it to a place where it's almost compatible, almost comparable and, competitive against those kind of machinery. So that's good.
And that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I love it when, I could tell that you enjoy the driving a lot, obviously, but you also enjoy the engineering and the mechanical side of it as well. And is there more to come from that car this year, do you think?
I would hope so. I mean, let's just say that whilst I'm here on holiday, in the evenings when it all all goes a bit boring, laptops out, new diffusers being designed, and they're being printed in London, where my daughter is, sort of being helpful and changing the printer filament for me and all that. So yeah, it never stops. Obviously, we're racers. We always, we always trying to find some advantage, some edge, some new, interesting, cool thing. So that's for me at least as much fun as the actual racing itself.
Absolutely, and I know you enjoy the weekends in general, and because you're always sort of like involved with everybody in the thing. Any probably two questions, and you might have an answer for both of these or one of these. One is any interesting or humorous anecdotes from the year, and the second is what race sticks in your mind the most and why.
Oh, do you know what? The internet's done its trick, so I completely missed that question, Chris. Sorry, mate. Can you go back? Go back to that question. Sorry.
Yeah, no problems, mate. Is that basically two questions that you might have an answer for both, or one or the other. Any humorous or interesting anecdotes from the year, or your favourite race from the year and why?
Anecdotes, I think we basically covered it with that fuel situation. I think that was about as humorous as we could get, sort of chasing for the championship, but for getting fuel up was pretty special, I thought. Favorite races, do you know what? 3 or 4 come to mind, and pretty much all of them revolved around fighting with Dave in the 488. Sort of literally seeing his bumper very, very intimately and very close by. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great season, honestly. There wasn't a boring race, which is really, testament to the club. Because, some championships, you go into a race, you sort of, after about 2 laps, it's just you, and you cruise around for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is, and you go through the checkered flag, and you kind of go home thinking, that was a bit boring. I can't think of a race like that. There were races where I would, start on pole and fight for the win, and be sort of with good company throughout the race. There were races where I would, sort of spin on lap 1 and then have to recover 6 places, and sort of try and pick them off one by one kind of thing. So, but there's always been racing. I really can't recall a race this season where it was lonely. It was just an awesome year.
I love it. 2 last things. Penultimate one is anybody you want to mention or thank for the year?
No brainer. Kevin, my left hand, right hand, mechanic, genius, fabricator. Just without him, this wouldn't happen, basically. He's the guy that sort of pets my car up in like a couple of weeks after that massive smash up last season, if you recall, with the KTM. Yeah. We were out racing the next race, which really wasn't the simplest task. Quite honestly, I don't recall missing a race in the last 10 years because the car wasn't ready. So, go figure. It's not a fluke. I think that just says that Kevin is amazing, and we have a good thing going there.
No, I love that. That's such a great comment. 2026, what's your plans?
Well, would it be rude to say that we're going to try and win the championship again? Is that too presumption?
Correct answer.
You never know. Obviously, it took best part of 20 years to get one championship. If it takes another 20, so be it. But listen, we'll be out on the first race. We'll give it all there is to give, and we'll do it with a smile. So that's all I can offer you, mate.
I love it. Absolutely amazing. So Dylan Popovic won the championship in second overall. Hang on, I've lost the right piece of paper. The GTs was Philip Young, Mr. Cheese. Third was Dave Scaramanga, that we heard discussed there as well. Great fight throughout. Great entertainment, Dylan, and done as well with just a wonderful personality that you just love racing, and you seem to just love everybody in the paddock. So please keep it up, mate, and it is appreciated. We do love it.
Thank you all. See you soon. See you later.
Take it steady, Dylan. Enjoy the rest of your holiday, and we look forward to seeing you the rest of this season. Thanks, Dylan. Cheers, mate. I absolutely love that, and there was definitely nothing wrong with his answer because Tim Perry says, "Best answer, sir," and I agree. So he's going to defend that championship, and we'll see everybody trying to take it away from him in the GT Championship. That's brilliant. Also watching tonight, our very own Emma Strawford with Kinchy. Evening to you both, and I hope there's a French red on the go. It's the end of the weekend, you know. It's a Friday night. You're allowed that French red. It's no problem at all. But welcome to the show, guys. Right, who should we get out next? Let's have a look. I'm going to bring out a single-seater racer next, and this is a boy that when I just updated his headline, he's starting to show off a little bit now. He's got his third outright championship this year, and he's always in the mix. He's always entertaining, and I think if we cut him in half, he would bleed Formula Fords. We're going to bring out Luke Cooper. Mr. Cooper.
Good evening.
How the devil are you, sir?
I am very well, thank you.
Do you? Because obviously you're busy running the kart track over the other side and everything there. Do you get what we call an off season?
Well, January pretty much is our off season. The first couple of weeks, the junior karting finished at the end of December, just before Christmas, and then that period until now was kind of the off season, and now it's getting started back up again this weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it is a little bit of a break. I know that you're busy enough over there that it can impact your preps for race weekends, can't it?
Yeah, luckily my dad is the main person that gets behind working on the car, so that leaves me a bit of freedom to kind of focus on the karting side of it and really push that as much as possible.
Oh, that's good. That's good. How do people look up to find details of how they can go on the kart track at Castle Combe?
CastleCombeKarting.co.uk is the best, and it's also on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, the main kind of focus is the championship racing there, which we've had so many drivers coming through that to actually progress to racing on the main circuit.
Yeah, because you run arrive and drive championships basically, don't you?
Yeah, so all of the equipment's provided and the drivers just turn up and drive. And yeah, it's a great place for drivers to start, and many drivers have started there and progressed onto much higher levels of motorsport.
Yeah, that is really impressive. I always promote that because people assume that you need to go and buy a car and everything else if you want to go, but it's like actually arrive and drive. And there's a whole national championship, isn't there? Or at least there used to be.
Yeah, so I'm involved in another championship called the SRK Championship, which is based around the southern part of the country. And that's kind of a semi-national championship. And then there's championships like Club 100, which go around the whole country, that are kind of a bit more expensive, where you're using all of their karts. The SRK Championship's more like a regional championship that goes to each of the individual tracks, and those tracks use their own karts.
That's cool. No, I just wanted to take that chance to talk about that because I think it's a great way for people to get involved in motor racing. And I know you and I, Luke, both are cut from the same cloth that we want more people coming in, come and race. It's brilliant, great fun. We know you enjoy it. As we've got there, was it 2018, 2020 and 2025 championship? I mean, you've had some really close scrapes did it kind of have, although it's your third, that there was, I was going to use the phrase monkey off the back. I don't think that's the right thing, but you were kind of like, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, very much so. The previous two championships were very much down to the wire, and something went wrong at both of them. So it kind of made this one a little bit more relaxing in that sense, where I didn't have quite the same kind of pressure or kind of downside to winning the championship. So, I mean, there is not really a downside, but the first one with the engine blowing up and the second one with a crash, it kind of, in a way, took a little bit away from the championship. But this one was much more kind of plain sailing.
Yeah, I think both Ian and I used the phrase winning it in a Luke Cooper way, the first two.
Yeah.
And that's not meant derogatory, but it's also not meant as in that you were happy about it. It's like, seriously, man, you deserve to win this easier.
Yeah,
it was good. I mean, there was some interesting people that you were fighting with through this year, and not just Class A cars.
Yeah, so the first couple of rounds with Rory there, as far as Formula Ford goes, and well, racing in general, Rory's right at the top. So him being at Castle Coombe racing was brilliant. And then unfortunately he wasn't able to do the whole season. And then mixing it with some of the Class B cars in the later part of the season.
Which was great fun to watch that. And we've always said that there was that possibility because although you know there's an age difference, there's very much a handling difference between an A and a B car that sometimes can be beneficial to Class B.
Yeah, I mean, the older cars generally move about a little bit more. They're not quite got the same ultimate pace as the newer cars, but you can still race them and be in the mix and put yourself in a position to get a good result and potentially win. I actually won my first race at Castle Coombe in the 92 Swift in a wet round. So my first race win overall was in the Class B car. So.
That's when they excel, isn't it, in the wet?
Yeah, the tricky kind of conditions because the newer cars have a kind of more of a fine margin and where you've got to try and have the setup, while the older cars you can be a bit more kind of relaxed and drive around them. So if you're in the in-between conditions, the older cars can work really well.
Because there's some people that just choose not to go up to Class A because they just both enjoy and feel suited to Class B. There's that much of a difference between them, isn't there?
Yeah, you have to change your driving style. And the older cars, you can generally get away with them sliding a bit more. In the newer cars, if they start to slide a little bit, you scrub off the speed and it's very easy to lose lap time by just the slightest of mistakes.
I'm surprised you don't love the Class B more because it's much more akin to karting, isn't it?
Yeah, I do love driving the Class B cars, but I want to win. So being in the Class A car is where I prefer to be.
No, I get that. And as it came out of my mouth, I was like, "Shut up, Dawes, you idiot." That's a stupid comment, but the sentiment, it rings true that they are great fun. I mean, I said cut you in half and you'll bleed Formula Fords. Your passion for racing Formula Fords is just never seems to diminish.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching my dad race and just being involved very much in the Formula Ford side at Castle Coombe, and kind of as soon as I was old enough to drive one, I jumped at the opportunity and haven't looked back.
No, and you know, certainly from our side, you know, as fans of the racing, watching it, is that we appreciate it and please keep going. A bit out of order, but I'll ask the question because I know the answer to this already. 2026, are we going to see you trying to defend that championship here at Castle Coombe?
Yes, you are. Hopefully, I will be able to defend it, and we'll see how it goes.
That's what I like to hear. So we know that you'll be out on that grid. Absolutely amazing. It's such a good spirit, isn't it? There's drivers across the classes, to be fair, that there's a really lovely community spirit between all of the drivers. But let's just keep it on this one. All of the Formula 4 drivers.
Yeah, and the nature of single-seater racing is you have to respect each other out on the track as well. If you make a little bit of contact, generally it's race ending for both drivers. You've got to try and have that respect more so than some of the other classes, just because you know if you do make that slight mistake, you're both out of the race.
And I know that in some of the other interviews I'd have asked these questions before, but go with me, is that Castle Coombe, of course, is known for having good crowd numbers there, good supporters, and very knowledgeable and passionate supporters at that. And in a Formula Ford, you've not got a roof over it. Do you become aware of the spectator banks?
When you're racing, you're fully focused on the actual race and you kind of blank everything else out and you just focus on that at hand. On the kind of the warm-up lap and the cool-down lap, you're very aware of all of the spectators out there, and it's always brilliant to see them on the banks and celebrating at the end of the race.
I love that. I've always, I don't know whether I should ask this question, but you know me, I think after speaking, so I'm going to go with it. Do you kind of, if you make a mistake, which I know you don't make very many of, but if you make a mistake and there's a full spectator bank, does that feel really awkward? Or do you just not care because welcome to motor racing?
It depends on the mistake. If it's a little bit of a mistake and you're still in the race, you kind of focus on it. If you're out of the race and you're kind of sat on the bank with all the spectators behind you, you've got that definitely a lot more feeling that you've
helmet stays on.
Yourself, made a bit of a fool of yourself to everyone there watching.
It's just one of those ones that I always respect you guys so much for this, because you're putting yourself, your head's above the parapet. Basically, you're there in front of everyone, which is, I mean, equally, I get the impression with Formula Ford races in particular, there is this putting on a show element from you guys. I know you're doing it to win the races, but the nature of the races is that you know you're putting on a show for the crowd. You must know it.
Yeah, and that's one of the brilliant things about Formula Ford, that it just lends itself to such good racing, and with the lack of aero and the slipstreaming, it makes all really close racing. And as I said earlier, you've got to respect each other as well, so it gets very close, and often it gets a little bit too close. But it's great for both driving in and for spectating.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that. I mean, so how does it feel where you must sense when you're suddenly, let's call it tangling wheels, as in you're off kilter from each other. You're now in there. You must sense that you two have got to be careful what's happening next at that moment.
Yeah, once you've interlocked wheels, there's very little you can do, because if you brake, you're just going to have one wheel go over the other. And if you misjudge the braking into the corner, you're going to interlock wheels and go over. And if you kind of try and turn one way, it's very easy to kind of lose control of the car and go out. So once it's interlocked, you've got to have like the ultimate respect for each other and make sure that you're giving each other space and you can kind of come out the other side of it.
If you've had a race long duel where there's been plenty of those, do you come in kind of almost laughing that was a brilliant race, or do you come in going, thank crikey, that's over?
No, definitely more on that was a brilliant race. And there's been so many races like that when you've come in off of the end of it. And obviously it's better when you come out on top, because it's even better in that sense. But sometimes you kind of just have to admit that it was a brilliant race, even if you don't come out on top. And yeah, it's really enjoyable sometimes to, even if you don't win, to kind of just enjoy the race itself.
I always remember going back quite a few years ago when Adam Higgins was at the fighty end of all of the races. And he came in and he'd finished either second or third, which we both know normally that isn't a particularly happy Adam Higgins. But he was laughing. He was, being interviewed going, that was the best race I've ever had. And that was a real eye-opening moment for me in motor racing in general, that actually, do you know what? If there's been a great race, you can tolerate that maybe you haven't got the ultimate result because of the euphoria of the quality of the race.
Yeah, definitely. And having those brilliant races, and it's very easy to have that kind of all the way through the field as well. Just makes you come out of the car with a big smile, and yeah, absolutely loving it.
I do love it. The one thing that I'm in awe of you guys in the Formula Fords in particular is I did the racing school, done it a couple of times, and in a Formula Ford, and it had been lightly raining, which actually is the worst conditions, isn't it? It's like you need it to be one thing or the other. And I was out and I went round Old Paddock, and I was just going round and suddenly realised that silently, because it was a bit damp, there was no screeching of tyres, I was just pivoting round, thankfully into the infield, and I was like, I don't know what I did wrong there. I wasn't too much on the throttle. I mean, I will have obviously done it, but there was nothing obvious in my head, in my uneducated head, admittedly. But my point being is that there is a very fine line. And I know your dad in the safety briefing makes that comment that you can spin in on a 10-minute lap. And that is so true about those cars, isn't it?
It is. And it's so much about the feel of it as well. And it's something you kind of have to adapt to. And if you, especially when you're driving it for the first time, don't have that feel for it, it's so kind of alien. You're kind of sat on the floor and you've got the wheels stuck out around you. And when it starts to break away, normally when that happens for the first time, it happens too quickly for you to do anything about it, and round you go.
And for people that haven't done that experience, and I suggest you get on it this year, because sadly it sounds like the racing school as we know it is going. So get yourself out in the Formula Ford. And when I went in it, from the outside we just see the nice bodywork and everything. Inside it's tubular, and I always remember thinking, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to properly race Formula Fords, even if I wanted to, because my kneecaps would be coming off on that tubular framework. It's not luxurious inside there, is it?
No, I mean, you can adjust them a little bit to give you a little bit more space, but I mean, you are very much kind of in the cockpit, and yeah, there's not much movement around.
Yeah, it's 6'3" and not really built like a racing snake. It was a little bit of a struggle for me. I'm not going to lie. My wife actually took a video of me from in front of the garage as I'm getting into the Formula Ford, and the camera's shaking because she's laughing at me pouring myself into this Formula Ford. I was like, yeah, love you too.
Yeah, they're not the easiest things to get in and out of.
They're definitely not, but it's thoroughly entertaining. Any anecdotes or interesting things that happen over the course of the 2025 season?
Well, the second meeting at Combe, there's a great race between me and Rory, and it started to rain while we're out there, so it was those kind of starting to change conditions, and we had probably 3-4 laps in a row where we went over the rise side by side, wheels interlocked, and it was kind of edge of the seat in the car, and I can imagine it was on the outside as well. And there was a brilliant photo that someone took that had us kind of locked up, interlock wheels going into Quarry Corner, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Wow, that is just nuts. I mean, it really does always. It blows my mind, and everyone knows that I love commentating on Formula Fords because you're guaranteed action. Simple as that. It's going to happen. And I think we were blessed this year as well. I don't know whether you're even aware, Luke, but we were getting great battles in like the Class B and Class C in particular. And that's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is, as I said earlier, it's brilliant that you can have so many battles through the field for each class, or even just for position, the lower half of the top 10. You can have drivers having the race of their life with these interlock wheels or as close as possible and coming out the other side, absolutely enjoying it.
I've got to give a particular shout out. So overall championship standings, to make sure everybody knows, Luke Cooper won it, as we know. Second was Nathan Ward in a Class B car, and third was Wayne Poole in his Class C car, which meant he secured Class C as well. In his swan song, that was years after what we thought had already been his swan song. I mean, that boy has still got it, and he's still enjoyed himself massively. What a sight that was for Castle Combe, stalwarts, to see that name still fighting.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and it was great to see Wade on the grid.
It was. He tells us that that's the end of that one. We'll wait and see. Nathan Ward, of course, he won Class B again, and I mean, he just dominates Class B. Even when this year we knew he had a lot more challenges, he still managed to come up and got runner-up spot in the outright championship. So it was brilliant to see him doing that as well. Incidentally, in Class A, we saw her pop up earlier, Alicia Hamlin getting runner-up spot in Class A. That was lovely because there's another one that is a real advocate of Formula Fords.
Yeah, and it's brilliant to see that there's so many people that have been involved with Formula Ford for such a long time that continue to enjoy the racing and continue to be out on the grid.
It does, and long may the Formula Ford racing continue, because let's be honest, it's not a modern car, is it?
And hopefully it might get a bit more backing from Motorsport UK, because there is a gap between Formula 4 and the kind of jump out of karting. So with any luck, Motorsport UK will get a bit behind it again and start pushing it some more.
I hope so. I mean, as very well, Luke, is that I always champion Formula Ford as an important stepping stone in even career racing drivers, because it teaches you mechanical grip, not just, slicks and aero and things like that. And I'm going to bore people with this story again, I'm sure, but do you remember Kieran Haggerty, who was racing Formula Fords? Very talented Scottish driver, sadly ran out of money, which is a travesty. But he managed to get up to GT racing and had benefits that he felt from his years in Formula Ford there as well. But he went into Formula 4, I think it was at the time. We know there's been changes of names of different things around there. And he was at Snetterton. I was commentating on it. He was at Snetterton, and it started raining halfway through, and all of the rest of the field on slicks out there just struggled like mad, couldn't do anything. He was off because he'd learnt that mechanical grip element from Formula Ford, that he just cut through the field and just embarrassed everyone.
Yeah, and it is a brilliant Formula Ford teaching that. And when you kind of don't have the overall grip that some of those slicks and wings cars do, it makes such a big difference when you're in a situation with really difficult conditions, like on a wet track with slicks.
Yeah, the sad thing is, without meaning to get political, is that is it still 16 you have to be before you can start racing the Formula Ford? And I
Yeah,
think there is
at
the
the
issue,
moment.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, some of the other countries like America, it's 15, so you can do it from a younger age, and hopefully that can be introduced in England and in the
I
UK in the
hope so.
future.
Yeah, we kind of need to be able to do it. As weird as it might sound to some people, 14, isn't it, that we can start doing it? Because otherwise they've gone, well, I'm going to bypass it because I can already go and race something else.
Yeah,
So,
I think 15 is a good age for them to be able
15.
to. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you for that input. That's interesting to know. So fingers crossed that we will get that, because it will just keep the formula going. Luke Cooper, anyone you want to say thank you to or acknowledge for winning your 3rd championship last year?
Everyone in my family that's kind of started in motorsport, from my granddad all the way through to my dad helping now, my brother helping out, and Alfie, who was helping mechanic this year, and my wife, of course, Lyra, who's been a massive support throughout the last few years.
I love it. I love it, mate. Anything that I haven't asked you that you wanted to say?
I don't think so. Well, while we're in the off season, I'm doing some sim racing in a Formula Ford Championship, which is something that if anyone's involved with, that's with the Virtual Reality Racing Club, and that's quite a competitive series, which is great to be involved with.
I have to. I hope you don't mind me saying this as a change of name for a second, but one of our past champions and very talented Formula Ford drivers, Ed Moore, his lad is having phenomenal success with the sim racing. Was he world champion or was it European champion or both? I can't remember now.
Yeah, he's doing extremely well, and I think he won the Formula 4 Championship, and he was at Motorsport UK for their awards the other day. So that's brilliant to see. Hopefully he'll
No,
be
it
in a
is.
Formula Ford in the near future.
I agree. It would be so good. Grantley's son as well is very good at the sim racing as well.
Yeah.
So it's. I just think it's because we're such a family, aren't we? As of racers and supporters and marshals, that I think it is important to give a shout out when one of our own is doing something special. So keep it up, guys. Luke Cooper, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Congratulations on winning the 2025 Formula Ford Championship at Castle Combe Racing Club, and look forward to seeing you defending that this year.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. All the best. So thank you to Luke Cooper. Just very quickly before I bring out our next guest, which is actually going to be not one of the outright championships, but is our driver of the year, just because I'm then mixing it up a little bit, especially as our Saloon Car Champion is not here tonight. My good. But just quickly catch up on some of the messages that have been coming on. Sam Preston. So I said that it was his idea at the beginning. Hello, mate. Still going strong 5 years later. See you later in the year. Absolutely. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. My dad says, evening, son. They say the first 100 episodes, do they, Dad? I'm not sure, are the hardest. So congratulations, and here's to the next 100. Good grief, there's another 5 years, well, and more. Because remember, at the start, during pandemic, we were doing 2 a week shows with some very international guests. Tim Perry says, congratulations, Luke, amazing job. Joe Shingler also says, another one of our marshalling side of things, congratulations, Luke and Mr. Dawes, on your 100th episode. Thank you, mate, and to all of the team, Tom Davis, Sam Preston for coming up, and for Combe for allowing it to keep going, etc., etc. Kinchy's message saying, Dawsy, well done on reaching episode 100. Love being part of episode 50, when the TCRs were here back in 2021. We'll be attending all of the events here. Now I'm a local. You are indeed, mate. Welcome to Chippenham, buddy. There's no escaping. We expect to see you there plenty this year. And thank you for your comments and encouragement. Very much appreciated. Right. Quickly before I do this one, there are what we call perpetual awards that get awarded at the Castle Combe Racing Club award ceremony. I'm going to leave one out for a minute because we'll come back to it, but let's just make sure we know who got the various awards. The Sporting Billy Young Driver of the Year was a very talented saloon car driver, and he's going to go far. He's from Racing Royalty as far as Castle Coombe's concerned, was Jake Humphrey, well-deserved winner of the Young Driver of the Year. The Brian Fisher Spirit of GT Championship went to Mr. Cheese, Philip Young. Definitely, he's constantly fighting, constantly racing. The Mark Sutton, obviously in memory of our late champion there, Saloon Car Trophy. So that again was recognising someone who's really done incredibly well. Bill the Badger Brockbank, and I agree, he had some amazing results and drives and everything last year, and that was really nice to see him get that. The Special Recognition Award went to Wiltshire College and University Centre. Very well deserved from them, because they are helping so many people get involved in the motorsport engineering, etc., etc. Plus they run teams that help people win things. One of our champions we're going to see in a moment's time as well. The Spirit of Castle Combe went to Ken Davis, the chairman of the Castle Combe Racing Club. He is stepping down this year. He's retiring, and everything we've achieved, he has really pushed it. His passion is incredible. He never stops, and it was so lovely to see him get awarded that Spirit of Castle Combe. I think he's still going to be involved to sort of like help that handover, and we'll find out who that's going to be. I think we know who's going to be, but we'll find out officially who that's going to be later in the year. I think it's March 26th. We've got the AGM at Castle Combe, and that's where normally it will probably be ratified in. The Howard Strawford Award, that went to Interceptor Racing. Again, stalwarts, Russell Humphrey and the whole team that run Interceptor Racing, constantly supporting cars and drivers out. That could have gone several different ways this year, I have to tell you, but it was lovely to see Interceptor Racing. They've been around forever, you know, Mark Wyatt and his yellow Vauxhall Astra and things like that. Marshal of the Year went to Joe Coffin, so congratulations to Joe Coffin for being the Marshal of the Year. The new Marshal of the Year went to Matthew Windows, so Matthew Windows won new Marshal of the Year. Johnny Moore Formula Ford watch. So this is picked by Ed, myself, and I think it's Ken as well, that we kind of try and go, right, who's kind of epitomised the spirit and things like that. And that went to Nathan Ward, you know, constantly racing year after year after year, and he won Class B, he came second overall, and his enthusiasm just never stops, and he's always trying to be involved in as much as possible. So brilliant job there. A Special Appreciation Award, an additional one this year, went to the chaplaincy team. You may have seen them wandering around the circuit, and they really are there to help people, and they're available if someone wants to step away and have a moment of reflection or whatever it might be. Everybody's requirements may be nothing now, but could do in the future, could be very different between one person to the next. They're so non-judgmental, and they're just there to make sure that someone's got a group of people and a place to go if they want to. So the chaplaincy team. But Driver of the Year we do have here for us, and it's always incredibly difficult to pick this one out, and we've all got to vote on it, and it is the obviously the maximum number of votes is the driver that gets this. This person finished in the top 3 of the outright championship in their particular championship, despite having the most intense, relentless battles in their class, which means they were taking points from each other, and yet he still got in the top 3 and won his class. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Castle Combe Racing Club Driver of the Year. Did I tease that enough there? It's James Blake. Hello, mate.
How you doing?
I am very good. Thank you for jumping on tonight, mate. Sorry I've kept you waiting there, but because I know that you're away, but you agreed to jump on. We kept missing each other like ships passing in the night with our messages, but we got there, and thank you for sorting it out. And I love what you said before we went on air. You were like, it's not very often you get an accolade like this, so I couldn't miss the chance to come on. And I was speaking to you on the night. You mean that, don't you?
Well, yeah, especially Castle Combe, it's where I started racing, 11 years ago, basically. I've been doing track days for a long time, and then bumped into old Chaz Riles at one point and said, I need to go racing. And you're the man, can you build me a car, basically? And, we've been doing that class and that car, obviously it's changed a little bit, the car, but that car and race championship for all those years, and to finally get the result that we've always wanted, it was really good. And this was just the icing on the cake, really.
I mean, really, really special. If we look at the outright, is that you finished third overall, but with that victory in Class C, wasn't it, that you're in? Yes, Class C. I mean, I always make an excited fan in the box kind of joke, is that you guys in the MGZRs, I swear you wait for each other, because the battling amongst you guys is phenomenal. It must be so much fun.
It's just, I think it's got to the stage where at least all the cars are pretty equal, and the drivers are local guys mainly, so they're pretty equal as well. And it just comes down to what happens on the day, and often 3 or 4 of us will be next to each other, because that's what's going to happen if everything's equal. So I'm really lucky to have this bunch of guys to race with, and we race hard, we race so close, and we're always. It's all very close to going wrong at some points. And you have to trust the guys that the smallest amount of contact could end up with anything happening, is what I always think anyway. So we try to just not touch at all. But yeah, it happens now and again, and it's all in good spirits. And so, yeah.
I mean, I know, as you say, you do race a TT as well, but I just associate you with ZRs because I've commentated you other circuits around the country racing in a ZR, and you've clearly got it nailed. I hear that it is a really good car. Would it be right to even use the phrase "cut your teeth on" as well, because it's a good race car?
Yeah, I remember picking up the road car that we originally used to build the first car that we had, and just picking it up and driving it home, and I was like, oh, this is going to make a good race car. It was a hot hatch back in its day, and it just went and stopped. It just felt quite balanced, I guess. And that was I remember speaking to Luke Cooper 11 years ago, I guess, and said, what should I do, what's Formula Ford like? But then ultimately going into a sport that is going to have a lot of learning curve, I should at least start with what I'm familiar with, which is a road car, in a hot hatch. So that's what I did, and that's where we ended up, really. But it's such a nice car. It is different to the TT, and it just goes and stops, and it's fairly light, so it's very controllable, really. And it is a good car to start with, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to really be careful with my words, is that it would be all too easy to use the phrase "it's an easy car to drive," which is undeserved derogatory sentence, but the essence is meant in the fact that forgiving, is that a good word to use for it?
I think
you know what it's going to do, don't you?
Yeah, I think the fact that it's front-wheel drive obviously makes it a lot easier to drive, because it's more. A rear-wheel drive car can catch you out a lot, especially if you start putting a lot of power on it. But yeah, it just seems to have its a well-balanced. It has its, its 4 corners in the right place, basically, and it just feels good. And you take the weight out, and it's, I don't know what it's similar to, but I guess it's it's just quite a with the engine not being a turbo as well, that helps, because it's just, you just rev it out and change gear, and all the gear changes are good. Obviously we've done work on that, but you point it in the right direction, but you have to wrestle with it a little bit. My car's a little bit lairier than your average ZR, so you have to, when it if it starts to spin up or whatever, when it settles down, you need to be making sure that the wheel's pointing in the right direction when all the shenanigans stop, because when if it loses grip and then regrip, you'll be doing all of this too much. You just need to sort of wait for it to come back to you. But yeah, the key is obviously to try and get the rear to move around a little bit, and I've always found that a little bit hard to get to grips with. But you know, I sort of slide that one around a little bit. It's just enough for how I like it, really.
I love the sound of that. I mean, I have to say, you and Wayne Rushworth in particular, that last race, not just the last race weekend, but the last race, I'm sure you were aware, but your class win and top 3 overall, it was Wayne had it, then you had it, then Wayne had it, and then it was right at the end that you got it back, and it was just backwards and forwards in that one race alone.
Yeah, I did the maths. You know, I won the first race on that day, on the last day, and that helped a lot. But still, it wasn't in the bag, and I knew what was at stake. And obviously, at some point, Wayne had taken the lead in that last race, and I knew that I had to at least get the fastest lap, and then I could come second. But then I did catch him up, and then we were to and fro-in, and many times I didn't know how it was going to end. We were playing chicken down the end of the S's and the bobbies. You know, it was just side by side. We both wanted it so much, but you know, it was just how it ended up. And obviously, Wayne did actually win that last race. But the fastest lap, which
that was it.
Trying to let me know that I had it, but obviously those really fast laps, I don't know where they came from. I think it was a little bit of towing, but yeah, I was trying very, very hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that it was that point for fastest lap, and we were just all over it, kind of going, oh my God, thankfully we had accountant Ian Salmon over in the old paddock box, and he was able to crunch it, and we were like going, no, it's gone, it's over now, because you'd taken it, and it was just phenomenal to be involved with. I think we forgot that there was fights going on at the front. It was all about you guys, just caught our attention, but it just strikes me that it's so much fun, because let's not lose, I know you're trying to get trophies and championships and whatever else, but we are there to enjoy ourselves first and foremost, and you seem to embrace that massively.
Yeah, I think, you know, as we spoke briefly earlier, I've been raced. Last year was, for me, racing, we just did quite a bit and go around the country. And coming back to Castle Combe and, you know, everything that happens, particularly on the last day, but also throughout the year, there's a very warm welcome from Castle Combe, and you know, the crowds are pretty good. You know, often we go and we don't have massive crowds elsewhere, so don't always think that there are crowds everywhere else. You know, the crowd at Combe is, you know, probably the best. So yeah.
I'd agree, because obviously from our side is that sometimes it can be quite hard when you're trying to commentate and entertain for the day, and you go, there's no one here, whereas we never have that problem at Castle Combe. Jamie Peters Ennis says, having known James since the start of his racing career, it's been fantastic to see him develop as a driver at Combe and all over the UK. I always remember the scraps he would have with the late, great and lovely Annie King and A.D. Slade and others. And that's the beauty, is that I know 11 years isn't excessively long, but there's so much history has been written in that for you to be able to look back on with fond memories.
Yeah, you know, every season we keep coming back, and we've made the car stronger, and it's just a great bunch of guys. You know, I think the first race of the year, I think we all rock up on Easter Monday or whenever it is generally, you know, and everybody's, you know, happy to see each other. We catch up, and you know, the first qualifying happens, and you see how the land lies for the next season. You know if you've still got it or not, and what everybody else has done over the winter, I guess. But yeah, it's quite a family, and like I said earlier, you need to trust the people you race with. You know, you don't always feel that when you go racing against unknowns. It can be a bit of a worry. You know, you're not sure.
True.
But yeah, you know, we've had you know, quite a lot of years of good racing there, so it's really good.
Absolutely. Elliot Harris says, mega year for James and iTech Racing. Congrats, champ. I know that you were quick at the awards to sort of like shout about iTech Racing. I mean, you say that's they got you started with old Chaz and everything, Chaz Riles, and you were very quick to mention them at the awards night, weren't you? Yeah,
you know, it just wouldn't happen without a great team. You know, it's the prep, the development, and you know, then I have to go and do the driving. But you know, if the engine wasn't built right, the gearbox, you know, the tracking and all the things we've done over the years to develop the car, and obviously the being very particular on the day and just before setting the car up, you know, and not forgetting anything. You know, I often nag the team, have you put the fuel in? Have you put enough in? And we often joke about it, but I'm sure I wind everybody up. You know, they probably have enough. But,
hey, we heard Dylan Popovic didn't put enough fuel in for one of his races, so it is possible.
It can happen. So yeah, I like to double check, and you know, but yeah, the team are great. You know, we've got Chaz, Andy Hall, Rob, and Andy Weatherall, and obviously Maria. They're every race, helping me out, and his boys as well. So yeah, that's the team. You know, we prep the cars, we, you know, work hard, and you know, it comes. The results come with as a team effort. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Any anecdotes from the year that you can think of, whether it's funny or whatever that happened over the course of the year that you're allowed to say?
Yeah, I did think, and I can't really think of anything. All I can remember is just being, well, one of the hardest races I think was in the summer when it gets really hot, and I think I got ahead at Wayne at the start of the race in the first few minutes. And it was 20 minutes of him chasing me down, you know, in the heat. And it was the hardest race ever. And, you know, it was just such close racing. And, yeah, that's the one that's, apart from the obvious, that sticks out in my mind. It's just that. And you just have to use all of your years of practicing just to try and calm yourself and try and get a breathe at one point, do everything the same, because as soon as you start doing things differently, you know, I think in this class that I'm in, one missed gear change or something like that, it can be the difference between a position, basically, you know, because the guy's right behind you. You stop for half a second, he's just going to go past you because they're never far away. So
yeah. No, I love that, and it was good that you didn't use the most obvious that very last race. It was good that you gave us another one there. What's the plans for this year?
I think they're up in the air a little bit because some of the championships are racing and changing and stuff. But I think pretty sure we'll be back at Castle Combe, seeing if we can, you know, get that top spot. I guess.
Yeah, up the top.
But, you know, like you said, it is hard if you're swapping points with each other in that very competitive class. But I'm really hoping to be back for the season for sure.
Well, obviously you've got Kipo from there that has won an outright championship, hasn't he? So it's doable. So we'll wait and see that. That'll be good. Before I forget, put this one up. Elliot Harris has said, hopefully I might even join you next year for a race finally.
Yeah.
Do we believe him?
Yeah, well, get on and do it, Elliot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Come and grid up with us. That would be great to see you out there. You know, Elliot's done track days in some of the iTech cars, I think, at some point, and we've gone out together. And yeah, I'm sure he'll make a great racer.
Good. That's what I like to hear. I know you did just thank people. Was that everyone, or was there anyone else that you wanted to say thanks to?
Well, I think, like I say, it's the whole iTech team. You know, they've done everything for me, and Maria obviously being there all the time. You know, she enjoys it as well, and all the other wives of the team members that come up, you know, and that support me. So yeah, it's really good.
Well, look forward to seeing you back at Combe there, mate, and best of luck with see if you can go higher. But above all, congratulations on the Class C victory, the 3rd overall in the standings. But of course, the big one was to be nominated the Castle Combe Racing Club Driver of the Year.
Thank you, mate. It means a lot. So thank you guys for that. Really appreciate
I love that you still had that smile as I was saying it out loud. I love that, man. It's always nice that it means that. Well done. Thank you for joining us, buddy. I do appreciate it. Everybody, James Blake, Driver of the Year. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. See you later.
And then there was one more to come, and I do appreciate his patience for this one. First year racing, just an amazing story, wonderful work with the college as well. It is, I'm going to bring him straight out to stop keeping him waiting, bless him. He's been there patient with me, and I thank you, mate. It is our Hot Hatch Champion for 2025, and it is Sam Williams. Sam, evening, mate.
You all right?
Yeah, good. Sorry to keep you waiting, buddy, but thank you for your patience. Let's start straight from it, because I remember that when I heard the words from you, is that there was genuinely this disbelief. You know, you just started racing, and here you are doing enough to secure the outright championship.
Yeah, it was kind of about 3 weeks before the final round. I think my boss said to me, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can win it on points." And I sort of looked at him and said, "Oh no, that means I have to do all the press stuff and talk to people." And just wanted to go racing and fight on track, and that's what I did as well. So I did really enjoy it.
Is the boss who I think it is at the college?
Mr. Campion, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be a massive stalwart for everything to do with racing and the college and everything, and a very dear friend of mine these days, which is nice. What a guy to have, and a team around you to support, because it is different, isn't it? You're being run by the college.
Yeah, it's I mean, the previous year I helped run some cars with Ethan anyway, so
okay.
I sort of built up that. We went around for national championships, and I just sort of said to him towards the end of the year, I'm kind of interested in having a go myself, because I bought a sim rig when I was probably 15, and so I've been doing that for over 10 years, and I just figured, you know what, I want to try the real thing, because it doesn't make up for the real thing. Now that I've actually done it, I definitely know it's a lot better.
Is it
in real life than in a sim?
I love that. So you are or were a college student yourself then?
Yeah. So I started back in 2016. I shifted from A levels over and started as a level 3 student. Did a year course, did the degree. Mainly got taught by Dave. And then towards the end, he just said, "Do you want to be a lecturer? We have a job going."
Right.
And that was obviously during COVID, so jobs weren't readily available. And I just finished my degree and needed to start paying the loan off. So I figured, yeah, I'll take a job and see if I can make teaching work. And I've done it for 5 years, over 5 years now. So it sort of worked out.
Oh, fair dues, man. I didn't actually realise that part. That's really cool. I like that story. I don't know, there's almost like a hunter turned gatherer storyline coming there to some extent, but it meant that you were around, because I love, for people that don't know, is that the college has got premises at the circuit that people with garages and various cars and all that sort of stuff, so that it's very hands-on. It's a great opportunity for people to get involved at the circuit, but then running a number of different race cars to get some hands-on experience. So it's a brilliant place, both as a student and I would imagine as a lecturer, to have that at your disposal.
Yeah. So obviously we do have 2 campuses. So we do the sort of further education, so just out of GCSE sort of stuff over at CHIP, and I teach quite a lot of that over there. And then I teach a little bit of degree, which was last year was actually my first year teaching any degree level side of things. So that was new, and it was all new students, and then they were also the same ones that would come up to the race weekends and then work on some of the cars. So it's nice having that go from a lesson and then they can just ask about a weekend, which is always quite interesting. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. How has it been this year? You were out in the Civic, weren't you?
Yeah, it's old Civic. I think a few people confused it with Ross's one.
Yeah, because it had the same livery on it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or should I say it was black and white, should I say?
Oh, don't say that. The college will start rewrapping them all. It's blue, green and white.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, it's just very dark. but yeah, it's a different chassis to Ross's one.
Okay.
And just to confuse things more, I think the one Ross drove has been converted back to being a 1.4 now, or the engine mounts are back in it, and that should be out hopefully this year as well. So there'll be 2 cars that are pretty similar liveries, one a 1.4, one a 1.6. So
thanks, mate. As a commentator, thanks for that.
I'll try and ask him to get a similar race number as well if you want.
Perfect. Just what we want. Obviously, you were there fighting away in Class D. Now, let's not shy away from it, because you've acknowledged it, is that it was kind of an unusual year in the fact that you were the only car in that class, but that's not your fault, and you still had to go out and perform and finish and do all of that whilst learning your racecraft. I mean, it's a big ask.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it, because at the end of the day I had a car with pace to still fight other cars, and that's
Correct.
the part that I actually wanted to go and do. I didn't really care if I finished ahead of someone or behind someone, because it didn't affect points. I wanted to do it because I wanted to learn how to make the moves, do the overtakes, make the most of a car that definitely lacked in straight line speed as well. I think that was a big eye-opener on how to take advantage of cornering rather than just relying on speed in a straight line.
Yeah, I like that. I hadn't even thought of it that way, in the fact that, yeah, it meant that you were able to learn your craft without concerns of what it meant in a bigger picture. And that was the point I was going to then move on to, is that it was brilliant to see you involved. We always have a joke going like, if a racing driver was thinking championship and points, they'd go, "You're not in my class, I don't need to fight." But racing drivers don't do that. They just love racing and fighting with other cars.
No, it's really satisfying to do it, though. I had some really good fights with Ben Hayward in the Mini. I spoke to him on the awards night as well, and he sent footage over on email. I sent him my stuff over as well, and we had a little conversation about it. But I spent quite a lot of the night talking to him about the races we had, because it was quite often he would fly past me or away from me in a straight line, and I'd have to try and make it up all around the back of the circuit. So it's really good fun.
Important to learn those strengths and weaknesses in something like this cars, multi-mark and all of that, is that you're going to have strengths and weaknesses at different points, and you've therefore got to learn to make that work to your advantage.
Yeah, it was quite interesting to see, because I didn't feel like I was braking that late into Quarry, and everyone else is braking before even Rise, and I'm sort of braking just a little bit after it. When I got confident, obviously, right at the start, it was before it, but I recall, stealing the thunder of a question that I would have been asking in a minute anyway, that you are planning to change car and class. Presumably the answer there is no. So same chassis, just different engine. So we're going from Class D as a 1.4 to Class D as a 1.6 with the reg changes now.
Right, okay. and where I was intending to go with that is that your comment there about the fact that, you were able to brake after Avon Rise, which is actually a regular topic of conversation, to be honest with you, that might not necessarily be the same in the new car.
Hopefully not, because it means I'm carrying more speed up the straight.
Yeah.
So
don't you find that really cool and challenging, that you've got to just you never stop learning? Yeah,
and it's really to be fair, it's just really nice to be able to go, we've got a bit more power, where do we gain from it, where do we need to make up for it, sort of thing. The only thing that's really changing is the engine, so trying to take a bit of weight out of the car like normal, but you sort of do that throughout the season anyway. So
more power, the common desire, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, your plan, presumably, therefore, by the sounds of it, I know that you've just said you're going to be racing in it, so you're now looking to defend the title, both class and outright.
I think it'll be a little bit harder to do overall now that they've changed the point system, which I think, given what I saw the guys at the front fighting, I think they sort of deserve the opportunity to win overall, because every time I'd be lapped by them, you'd see them racing really hard, Like, it was normally 4 of them all grouped together every single race. It's great to watch for like the 3 laps that they were near me, and then they would disappear off into the distance again.
I like that humility, mate. That's fair. You know, kudos to you. But I will not allow anything to be taken away from what you did. It's different, and the class. It's class racing. I cover it all the way up into international GT racing, and it can, you know, have those effects that, yeah, fine, they're off and they might be quicker, but it doesn't mean that they're going to win outright. I love class point scoring. It just really livens everything up. Anybody that, you know, you took that thing, you were sim racing and you went, I want to have a go. What's your advice in terms of A, should they, and B, how should they?
It's hard to say, to be honest. It depends on where you sort of come from. When I finished uni, I ended up doing a load of sim racing and iRacing as enduros and so on.
Oh, yeah.
So I liked the GT side of things, and I did that with Jake, who has his logo plastered on the side of my car, because we finished the same degree together. So it would sort of be just try and see what route you can take into it. I really like the grassroots racing. It's not what I envisioned myself doing when I was 7. I dreamed of becoming a racing driver, obviously, but it's still just as fun. It's just a case of getting some money together.
Yeah.
Means the odds test for the flags is actually fairly straightforward if you spend enough time doing sim racing before, because you sort of learn the majority of them already. So that was actually quite a relaxing process of, yeah, okay, I only have to learn 1 or 2, which you don't really see. But yeah, it's fairly straightforward. You just got to book an odds test. I didn't do mine at Combe, mainly because I didn't have it soon enough, basically.
Got you.
But yeah, it's a straightforward process, I think. It's not difficult, and, you know, there's people out there that give guidance on it. There's plenty of YouTube videos on giving you advice on how to go get your R's license, what to revise, what the questions are like, and so on.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of teams to ask in paddocks that are willing to provide a ride and drive to make it so that you don't have to go out and spend tons of money building a car from scratch, and sort of make it convenient for new or people who are just getting into it.
Yeah. Did you go the track day route first as well, or straight into racing?
Very, very limited track day stuff. I think it was 2 15-minute sessions in my friend's MX-5, 2 years, and then 2 track days in my car the year prior, so 2024. So I did 1 at Donington and 1 at Castle Combe.
Okay.
Quite a lot slower of a car, despite having significantly more power, but it was a bit of a yacht. So.
All right. But I mean, you know, either you get some people that go and do a lot of track days and they go, do you know what, this is so cool, I want to take it to racing. But it sounds like yours was more just a few that just confirmed, yep, this is the route I'm going. You'd already kind of had in your heart and head you wanted to, and the track days didn't need many. You just went, yep, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think the only bit that I was slightly nervous on, especially at the start, was going from, obviously MX-5 is a rear-wheel drive car. My car that I drove was a rear-wheel drive car, and then going to a front-wheel drive car that's super light, low power, but has a diff, for example, like my car didn't. And just having to fight other people on track, which obviously you don't do on a track day.
Officially, yeah. What, take me then, year 1. You're now you're sat in the assembly area ready to be released onto the grid, and then also take me to when you're on the grid waiting for the lights to go out. How the heck does that feel, year 1 of racing?
I actually was surprised. I didn't feel that nervous about it. It was just a thought of, all right, just keep an eye on the lights, watch for people in front in case they get a slow start or I get caught up, try and keep it predictable for the people behind if I need to. I was very aware that I was going to be basically overtaken by most people up into the first corner with the lack of speed that we sort of had in a straight line. So I was just sort of trying to play it safe for the most part, to be honest. Try and get used to being around a bunch of cars. for the first.
Because
it
is different, isn't it? When you like going up Avonrise into Quarry of all places as well for your first time and cars all around you, it's got to be quite a daunting thing.
Yeah, it was very much. I think that first race as well was a bit greasy on the circuit. It was sort of that it had rained, it dried out a little bit, but there wasn't quite a clear dry line right at the start of the race. So I was sort of taking it as easy as I felt I needed to for that. And then just as people sort of spaced out at that point, I was just sort of, all right, let's see if I can sort of get closer to the front person ahead and overtake them. If I can, I can. And if I can't, I just sort of try and keep pace with them and stick with them as much as possible.
And presumably watch them. Yeah, I was about to say learn.
Yeah.
That's a great chance, isn't it? It really is. What does it feel? Going back to a comment I asked Luke earlier. So your year one, very level-headed by the sound of it, and kudos to you for that. But you could see that there was pretty reasonable filled spectator banks watching you. Is that quite a? Oh my God! You know, I'm not doing this anonymously. There's lots of people watching this.
I think a little bit maybe. But I think that sort of wore off after maybe the formation lap, and you're sat on the grid with a bunch of cars with the lights coming on and everything. I always tried to keep a lookout for people that I knew around the circuit. Cause
really?
Jake behind at the end of the race typically, but I'd always try and see if I could spot Jake, for example, standing somewhere. I think I only spotted him once over the whole year. My parents and my sister and so on who come up and watch me, I try to spot them, but they normally, some of them stand in Quarry, some of them stand over at Tower, so there's kind of the two big crowd areas, so it's kind of hard to see them.
Hard, yeah. I love that you do that, man. That is so cool. Probably not something that the clerk of the course wants to hear, but that's still pretty cool.
No, not during the actual racing, just during formation, the in-lap at the end, just to try and see if I can spot where they were.
What was your favourite race of the year then?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I had quite a few with Ben in that mini. I had one really fun one. I think it was mainly not because of a good result or anything like that, but it was when I finished very, very close to Elliston. I think it was less than 0.1 second away from him across the line. And that was just kind of, it was really rewarding because we had spent the week before a couple of weeks before trying to make an engine have a bit more power. Blew that up and then put a different engine in it, which we put in on the Friday before the race day, to only start that up and realize the piston rings and that had seized. So there was oil coming straight out the exhaust basically, and we had to bin that one off and put a different one in. And I remember leaving the circuit with Ethan and Connor, putting the final bits together with the third engine we had in that car at about 1 a.m. And I think they left at 2 a.m.
Wow. You kind of almost then have a feeling that you kind of go, right, I owe it to everyone to make this work now. That's a lot of pressure, isn't it, to be fair? And that was the one where you fought with Ellison on that weekend, who was the Class C champion at the end.
Yes, it was right in the middle of the season. Wow. I think it was the first weekend where I actually got both races finished as well, because we had some electrical issues for the first two rounds. So.
Yes, yeah, okay, fair dues. Ben, of course, you mentioned there, he finished runner-up in the Hot Hatch Championship, June and Ellison third. So actually those names that you mentioned there that were the top three in the championship fight, as you say, a lot of the Class A battles, they were kind of taking points away from each other or had a couple of big moments or things like that. And you just kept the consistency going, which is really cool. You're back to do it again. I'm delighted to hear that, and it'll be interesting to see how that whole second year goes and what have you. Any anecdote? I think you've just given us the anecdote really there, haven't you, about that late night? Or was there anything else that jumped out from the year?
It's hard to say. I think if you go and look at the photos of the car in the first race, we didn't have wrapped bumpers because we prepped the car in such a short amount of time.
Wow.
There was the time I went out in quali and forgot I had new front tyres that were completely fresh and had a moment in camp. The first flying lap that I had, so that
wakes you up.
Yeah, that was I think 9 o'clock in the morning. It was an early quali one as well. The students enjoyed it though. They enjoyed me grabbing the GoPro footage and showing them. So,
oh my word, that is mad. Talking of which, you mentioned students there. Final question really from my side, unless I've forgotten anything, is anybody you'd like to thank for the year?
Yeah, the students definitely helped, and they've been working over the winter as well with trying to get some weight out of the car and pulling the engines out, cleaning them up, that sort of thing. Ethan sort of directs them what to do while they're at college, so they know what they're doing, and then Connor has been running me. So at the actual weekends, he's the one in charge of my car, at least. So I just want to thank all of them for basically making the car work. Dave for supporting me as well, because he's sort of hyped me up every time I've come in and said, well, I'm just, doing this, finished at this place. It's not as impressive as, say, finishing at the front, but he's just sort of always saying, yeah, you're driving quite well, or you're doing this and you do well, that sort of thing, which is quite nice to hear when you're not in the top half of the grid.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy it. So
it's all relative. It's all relative.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, and I'm glad to hear that David was doing that, and I'm glad that you listened, you took it on board, that you didn't just dismiss it, and that your hunger clearly is just as big as it was.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I like to hear. Well, Sam Williams, 2025 Castle Combe Racing Club Hot Hatch Champion. I hope that still sounds as good now as it did then. Congratulations on doing that, and I'm delighted to hear that you're going to be back and we're going to see you fighting for some more silverware, mate.
Yes, thank you very much. Hopefully see you on Media Day as well.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be there. We're not running a live broadcast from that this year, but I'm sure I will be there, and get down there. Spectators are allowed as well, so we'll see you then. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it, mate.
No worries.
Cheers. So, thanks to Tim Perry. He said, well done, Sam. Absolutely. And talking about consistency and things like that. And I agree. Thank you to all of our champs. Obviously, the one that we didn't get to speak to, Mike Good, he won the Saloon Car Championship. Second time he's won that. And it was good to see Boy Band back doing it. And he's getting married. Is it this year? I've lost track now of when it is. We had the proposal done on the grid, which was lovely, and I look forward to being there. Kat Dalocco, evening Kat, looking forward to supporting everyone again this season, and thank you all for choosing Castle Combe Racing Club. 100% Kat, wonderful comments, and I agree. Thank you, Kat, for all of your work in advance of a very busy season. Let's keep supporting the club, let's keep looking after each other, let's enjoy each other's banter and excitement. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and getting involved with your comments. It's episode 100, I can't believe it. I think that there's going to be a few changes to Combe TV, led from the Castle Combe marketing department. Watch this space. It's going to be very much that sort of podcast feel. I'm not sure yet. We're going to work it all out imminently. Myself and Max are going to work out all it is. The essence, though, is that we're still going to have so much fun catching up with each other and talking about what has been, what's coming up, some special guests. We're going to get some really cool guests this year by the looks of it. So keep your eyes peeled on that for the episodes as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Appreciate it. Tom says, thank you, Dorsey. Brilliant 100th episode. Bless you, mate. Thank you. I've loved the journey, and it isn't over. We're carrying on, and thank you for everyone for the support. Certainly people still come up to me from that pandemic period that it was a confusing time for us all, and that was where this was born. And I think it re-emphasized that we are a family. There's no question about it. We're all in this together. So from myself our guests. Thank you to all of our champions that came in. Dylan Popovic from Dominican Republic, Luke Cooper from, well, Castle Combe in reality. We of course had James Blake, our driver of the year. Sorry that we missed you, Mike Good. And thank you very much for Sam Williams coming on first year driving, and he's got a championship and he's coming back for more. Everybody seems hungry. I know I am. So I tell you what, let's get ready by turning up to that media day, and let's get the 2026 season going. Cheers all. Good night.